Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Spiritually Speaking. I am Dee, and today I have Promise with me as my guest. And Promise, thank you for being here. I'm so excited and grateful that you said yes to my invitation.
Thank you, Dee, for having me, and hi, everyone.
Well, tell us about yourself. You have a beautiful story. I love that you go by Promise. So you can tell us a little bit about that too, if you would like.
Sure. So I was born and raised in France, had a very, normal upbringing, but unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, when I was a teenager, I experienced psychosis, and I asked my psychiatrist, how can I take better care of myself? And he didn't have any answer. So I said to find out for myself, how do I take better care of myself on a daily basis? I knew I was doing some things wrong for me to feel that terrible inside, but I didn't know exactly what. So, of course, now looking back, it's very obvious. Everything I was, all the ways in which I was contributing to my suffering. But at that time, I was really in the dark because I don't know about you, dear, but um, at school nobody told me about mental health. How can I take care of my emotions and my mind and so on. So I got into martial arts, and then at age 18, I went to a Buddhist monastery founded by Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh, known as the quote unquote father of the mindfulness movement here in the West. And a year later, I came back to ordain as a Buddhist monk. So I lived as a Buddhist monk for really all of my adult years, from ages 19 to 36. And as a monk, I kept learning about the Buddha's teachings, my teacher's teachings, but also lifestyle medicine, positive psychology, and other healing traditions. And I put the best of what I know into two simple programs: the Daily Wellness Empowerment Program, or DWEP for short, which is a comprehensive program of wellness practices that are all do it yourself, simple, free, backed up by science, holistically effective. All of those practices meet all of these criteria. And if you'd like, we could go more into detail about what those practices are later. But that's the first program. And the second program is called Central Story Training, and it's purely um, me meditation program. And the idea is that we all tell ourselves a story pretty much all the time. And this story is so much at the center of our experience that we've stopped seeing it for what it is, which is a story. And the story goes, I am dot dot dot, and I need dot 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 to be happy.
Mm.
We tell ourselves countless variations of this story. I'm angry and I need this person to change to be happy, or I'm a victim and I need justice to be happy. I am awesome and I need other people to recognize it to be happy. you know the and what this the central story theoretical model says is that the more we buy into, the more we believe into our central story, the more we experience dissatisfaction,
Mhm.
rigidity, and entanglement in the present moment. And inversely, the more we are cognitively diffuse, meaning the more we manage to step back and gain space from our central story, the more we experience fulfillment, freedom, and flow. And so, in this meditation system, people are empowered with a toolbox of meditation techniques that help them diffuse from their central story, I am dot dot dot, and I need dot 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 to be happy, and experience more fulfillment, freedom, and flow in their lives. And a few months ago, I decided to go back to lay life to teach those two wellness programs.
That's amazing. And it's so timely, Promise, because we humans really need this right now. We were talking just briefly in our pre-chat about the human factor and what I think you used the term funny animals. Is that what you said
Yeah,
about the humanness? It's a very interesting. So we definitely need that. And no, to answer your question about was I taught mental health ideas
yeah,
when I was young. I wasn't. And it's not something that I feel is brought forward nearly enough.
yeah,
And those are such foundational pieces, and they're not difficult. They're very simple
yeah,
and
exactly.
available to everyone. You don't even
Yes,
need a special space. You can just do it right where you sit.
exactly. Beautiful. Let's pause if you want, Dee, and really unpack this point and invite maybe our audience to reflect. First, do you think that um, taking care of your emotions, taking care of your mental health, your physical health, those are extremely important and foundational life skills.
Yes.
Second, where you taught those at school.
I was not taught those at
No.
school, and I was not taught those at home either, by the way.
Yes, exactly. So we do have a big problem. And as you said, what I learned is that, oh my God, not only this is a big problem, but there are simple solutions.
Hmm.
If it was a big problem, but the solution was extremely complicated, out of reach, you need to spend years studying some complex stuff. It's not like that.
Right.
Like, just getting regular sleep, eating more whole plant foods, learning to sit, make time for um, quietness, learning to tune into the sensations of your breath, for instance, to open up your mind to the present moment.
Mm.
Developing a very basic emotional literacy, learning to name your emotions,
Hmm.
learning to talk more about what you observe and how you feel
Hmm.
instead of, judgments, so that you can create more heart-to-heart, compassionate, concrete, constructive conversations with the people around you. Those are very simple things, and they do make a big difference in our mental health. So that's why um, that's, I bought my T-shirt. Mental health revolution. We need a revolution, and the revolution uh, comes from within, and the revolution is really always a bottom-up change.
Yeah.
So that's why I promote on my platforms. I'm active on Substack, a bit less on YouTube, which is self-care centered approach to mental health.
Hmm.
So, meaning that yes, there are many wonderful therapies. I'm sure there must be some effective drugs with not too many side effects out there.
Mm.
But while we use the best of what we know to help people struggling with their mental health, we also want to make it our number one priority that each of them is empowered with the knowledge of self-care.
Right.
And to do that, um, of course, we can talk about the societal level with the economic incentives. There are some things that are pretty messed up in our economic and healthcare system. But first, let's look at the individual level. There are some inner beliefs that we need to overcome to join this revolution. And a big one is self-care is selfish.
Right.
Yeah, self-care is selfish. Um, and if we lived in a world where you and I, Dee, we were totally separate, you would not affect me, I would not affect you, then okay, maybe we'll be selfish. But because we live in such an interconnected world, how we take care of ourselves really impact how other people feel.
Yes, that's
And
very true.
we can all identify maybe a parent or a friend who did not take good care of themselves.
Hmm.
Like my dad, for instance, he smoked 2.5 packs of cigarettes every day, living in on a flat, with the small children.
Hmm.
Um, um, or my mom was very stressed at work. She didn't know how to take care of her stress, and we all felt that when she came back. So I'm
Yes.
not saying this to guilt trip anyone, but just to recognize that we do affect each other, and that no self-care is not selfish. Self-care is a wise investment. So when you take better care of ourselves, for one, you suffer less with those simple lifestyle changes, like having a bit more movement, a bit more meditation, a bit more meaningful human connections, a bit more nature exposure, a bit more regular sleep in your life. Uh, you can expect less chronic pain, less chronic diseases. Like we know, right? Two-thirds of our chronic diseases right now, they are lifestyle related.
Yes, that's very true.
Type 2 diabetes, overweight, heart disease, and so on. Those are lifestyle diseases, so many of which did not really exist, or at least not to the extent we see them today, just a few decades ago.
Hmm.
So when you take better care of yourself, you not only suffer less, but you feel healthier and happier. You have more inner space. You have more clarity. When you take better care of yourself, you have a better presence for your loved ones,
Hmm.
more empathy. Um, when you take better care of yourself, you have a better presence for your work, because your meaningful projects, they need your clarity, they need your focus, they need your energy.
Yes.
So our ability to perform is directly related to what's going on here in our body and mind, and how we feel is directly related to our daily wellness habits, or lack thereof. When we take better care of ourselves, um, we also become more resilient to face life challenges, whether personal, familial, or societal. And last but not least, when we take better care of ourselves, we naturally inspire others to take better care of themselves. So there's a quote I love, which is, your children will not take care of themselves the way you took care of them. They will take care of themselves the way they saw you take care of yourself.
Mm.
So if every day your kids, they see mama, papa, um, doing a bit of sitting meditation, doing a light workout, having healthy breakfast, starting the day with a positive intention, speaking kindly, and so on and so forth, they will learn. They will learn very naturally. And if
Yes,
if
they
and if we
will.
yeah, and if we learn uh, how to better take care of our mental and physical health, it becomes easier to create the kind of environments that support other people's health. For instance, if you're a parent, um, um, what kind of options do your children see when they open the fridge?
Mm.
Um, what kind of access they have to media? Like they have internet access, including at night or in the room. Um, do they have easy access to nature? Do they have easy access to sports? So as a parent, now that you're more conscious of how your own wellness works, you're more empowered to create an environment in which it's a bit harder to make harmful choices, and a bit easier to make beneficial choices for yourself and for your family, because all of our willpower is limited. So, for instance, I have one friend who's a father. One thing he does is he called it a phone house. So when he comes back from work, um, he put his phone into the phone house.
Wow.
And he invites his spouse and his children to all do the same, so that the time at home is a time for true connections, not with the phone,
Wow.
just true connection. And so that's the kind of agreement they made, because they saw that they're much happier this way. Yeah.
Right.
Because right now we're exposed to so many super stimuli. Super stimulus is stimulus that was rewarding for our ancestors. Think, for instance, sugar in the fruits. When they
Mhm.
would eat sugar in the fruits, or they pick up some nuts and seeds, they get fat, or they get salt from very mineral-rich vegetables. Uh, but the same stimulus is presented to us in a way uh, that's totally new, and that's also uh, very extreme in compared to what our ancestors had access to, and it does create addictions. So like empty calories with the chocolate bar, or like fast
Yeah.
food and so on. And so it's normal that we get addicted. Um, and if we understand that, mm, we live in a society that unfortunately has normalized certain addictions, um, and we we are serious about doing things better, not just for us but for other people. Then we can start from within, and learn to do things a bit differently, without preaching, without being annoying, without being condescending or anything. But just start with yourself. I can't tell you the number of people who told me, "Hey, promise, just looking at the way you eat, it really inspired me to change, to improve my diet." Not preaching or anything, but I just, when I was living in the monastery, just picking the very healthy food, whole plant foods,
Hmm.
and eating with other people. And if someone offers me a cookie or something, I just say no, thank you. It looks delicious, but I don't eat sugar or anything. Then people pick up on that. So we can create the positive kind of social contagion if we start from within. The revolution is starts with each of us.
Yeah, living by example. And I love that that's basically what you were saying when you were talking about what offerings do your children have available to them in the house? What
Yes.
offerings do you have available? Because both of my parents were quite a bit overweight. And I remember one of the things that my mom used to say, well, is if it's in the house, your dad's going to eat it.
Yeah.
And she would say that. And then one day I looked at her and I was like, Mom, if it's in the house, anybody's going to eat it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because that's what's available to you. So keeping those things, those healthier items available, not only for your children, but for yourself as
Yes.
well, because then you're reaching for something that's more helpful for your body than, the garbage. And I mean, some of the stuff, and I don't know how it is in France because that's where you are, but in America, I know that we add so much garbage to our food. Like I bought a bottle of water the other day that had electrolytes in it. And I thought, oh, this is a healthy choice for me,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm working, I'm sweating, and
Yeah.
I needed to replace those. I thought maybe it would help my body feel better. And on my lunch break, I was reading the bottle and it has sucralose in it, which is an
Yeah.
artificial sweetener that's terrible for your body. So even the healthy choices,
Yeah.
a lot of times have things in them we have to be mindful of. So it's just an awareness and being mindful to read the labels and make sure that you're putting the best things into your body. Like we have well water. So one of the things that I do is I take bottles of our water to work with me so that I don't have to drink city water, which has chlorine and fluoride and all of the other things in it that are not good for your body. So that's one of the mindful choices that I make.
Beautiful. Yeah, we need to educate ourselves. We need to look at the ingredients like systematically, just to know like, okay, what's in front of me? What am I buying? And the real battle um, is when shopping
Yes,
at home. So when your mom says, "Hey, if it's in the house, your dad's gonna eat it," and you say, "But mom, everybody's gonna eat it," and also, "Mom, but who bought this thing? Who brought this
right.
thing into the house? Was it you? I think it was you. So give me a break, and next time go buy something healthy for everyone." And sometimes it's hard, especially for food, because it's very emotional, not just because we use food, to calm our anxiety, or to forget our problem or anything, or to self-soothe, but also because it's very linked to our childhood and our upbringing and our relationship to our parents. So if you say, look, the data shows that unfortunately, red meat is associated with higher risk of heart disease and cancer, or basically you're insulting that person's mom,
Right.
because saying all of those burgers and there was so much love, and so it's like, no, no, I'm sure there was a lot of love, there were the best intentions, but sometimes we, even with the best intentions, if we're not that informed, we can also harm. uh, so keep the love, keep the good memories from your parents. Know that they did their best, and now try to do better, because that's also your responsibility towards yourself and future generation.
Right. Absolutely. And it's so important. It really is so important. And it's becoming increasingly, in my opinion, more important because of all of the stuff that's being put in our foods. And it affects us. And not only the things that are being put in our food, but you mentioned, where our ancestors, the kind of vegetables and fruits that they ate were so nutrient infused. And we
Yeah,
don't have that anymore as much because of I'm going to call it the raping of our land, where it's just depleted. The way we farm is depleting the nutrients in the land. And, the pesticides and fertilizers that we put on the ground and on the plants when they're growing and stuff is creating a whole different kinds of issues. So getting people back to growing their own food in nutrient dense soils so that the produce that they're eating is more nutrient dense when they consume it to me, that's a really big, big important thing as well.
yeah, yeah. So from a practical standpoint, what I recommend for people is to buy their whole grains and legumes in bulk. So whole grains, think like brown rice, whole wheat, uh, including also pseudo grains like quinoa or buckwheat, and so on and so forth. And legumes like lentils, peas, chickpeas, all kinds of beans. So those are really nutrient rich, and they can really get you the healthy calories that you need. And it's better to buy them in bulk because they're cheaper and you can store them easily. And for fresh fruits and vegetables, then you can go to your market, or including your supermarket, and just go to the fresh produce section and out. So you catch yourself, if you have a addiction, you tend to get lost in the like chocolate or
Yeah.
alcohol, at least, catch yourself. Okay, this is my mission: fresh produce and out. And then so you use your willpower when you shop, and then when you're at home, you can chill, and you know that all of the options you have, they're healthy.
Yes.
Because yes, if it's around the house, dad will eat it and everybody will eat it. So better put apples and you know, uh, whole food, plant-based eating can be really delicious. And
Mm.
there are countless recipes. It's just a whole world. And um, yes, that we are more exposed than ever to like pesticides, and you know the soils are being depleted and so on. And at the same time, there hasn't been any generation in human history with this much access to healthy foods.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very true. And I don't know what I was going to say. I was going to say something, but I don't remember what it was. But it's very, and it's one of the things I'd like to point out too is that you can live differently than your parents. I know that we are so influenced by what our parents do, but I personally have made a lot healthier choices in the realm of food and, mindfulness than my parents did. So it is possible for us to do that. It is, though, a challenge for most people to shift their mindset and do something different because we feel like we have that obligation to live the way our parents did, that that's
Yeah.
an expectation for us, and it doesn't have to be that way. We get to shift things and live our own lives. So we get to make, and that
Yeah.
doesn't mean we're like betraying that love
Mm.
or raising or anything like that. It's just we can choose a different path for ourselves, and it's a very beautiful thing, actually.
Yeah, and it's the best way to honor their love and the this life that they have given us
Yeah,
is by doing better. And they expect us to do that. Yeah.
yeah, they do. It's so interesting. So
So there are
what
many, sorry, please go on.
did you have something else to add to that
No, no,
before
please, it's okay.
Okay. I know you mentioned living in the monastery, and we had talked about this in our pre-chat before, and I'd asked you what your biggest takeaways were from your years in the monastery. I would love for you to share that with our audience if you would.
Yeah, I'd say my biggest takeaway was that I am worthy and capable of self-care. And there are many things I can do that um, really, I mean, first healed me because I was suffering from psychosis as a teenager. There were months or even a few years in which I woke up every morning wondering whether I would be able to make it another day. It was really hard to go through all of the mental crap I was experiencing. So healing is possible. There are things that work. We need to be curious. We need to expose ourselves to different environment, to people who are happy, and ask them what are they doing. Well, we
Yeah,
can expect to do the same thing over and over and have different results. We need
yeah.
to we need to look at what happy people are doing.
Yeah. Why do you feel like it's so difficult for people to reach out and ask that question? Because it sounds like a super simple thing to do. Hey, you look like you have a great life. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Would you share that with me? And most people that are living that kind of life are more than willing to share their story from my experience.
Yes.
So why do you feel like it's so difficult for us to get to the place where we can ask that question? And what can we do to shift that?
Um, I think we all want to be healthy and happy, but we are also all wrapped up into our belief system and our habits. And there's a term for this in psychology, it's called psychological rigidity.
Mm.
So we are. close into our, you know, usual patterns, contracted thinking, and repeated behaviors. And we're also very busy,
Hmm.
and so that keeps us, going hamster wheel. And unfortunately, many of us wait for a burnout or a tragedy to find to take the question of um, health and happiness seriously. So if you're listening to this, please don't wait until something too bad happens. Find a bit of time every day to think deeply about the important questions. How do you take care of yourself every day? Uh, how can you bring more meaning to your life? Who are the healthiest, happiest people out there, and what are they doing that's working for them that I could start experiment with in my daily life? And
Hmm.
and as Dee said, happy people, they're more than happy to share. And that's what the data says. For instance, uh, Martin E. Seligman, the founder of positive psychology, um, before he looked at the data on empathy in people, he assumed that people who suffered more, they were the ones who were more likely to help. Because they thought, like, when you suffer, you have empathy, so you know what it feels like to suffer, so you're more likely to help. But actually, he was surprised to find that the opposite is true. People who are well are more likely to help.
Okay, now you say well, is that well after they've been through the experiences or just because, I remember when I was about 15 years ago, I had a intuitive reading by an American monk named Stephen Harefield. And one of the things that he said to me was, you are going through these experiences that you're going to experience so that you will be able to help people in the
Yeah,
future.
yeah,
So could you elaborate on that a little more, please?
yeah. That's a great question. To be honest, I don't know. I don't know if I just know that people who are happier are more likely to help and have a positive impact on other people around them. Of course, we all have some experiences of suffering,
Hmm.
and being able to metabolize past suffering to help other people is beautiful. But and that's what I'm doing also. The question that my psychiatrist could not answer. That's the one that now I'm bringing the answers I found to the world.
Right.
So that's also rooted in my past suffering. But what's clear is that the better we are, the more able we are to help other people, because we have more inner space, we have more clarity, we have more resilience, we have more love. We cannot share what we don't have.
That's
But
very, very true.
if I don't have any space for myself, how can I make space for you? If I
Yeah.
don't love myself, it's gonna be hard to love you.
Yeah. That's very true. And you spoke about this happening to when you were young, like you were a teenager, when you were going through all of this really heavy, hard stuff, which prompted you to seek a different answer. And I know that that is absolutely rampant in our young society now. And it seems like I love that your shirt has mental health revolution on there because this is what I'm about to dive into here. It seems like there's this huge preoccupation right now with having a diagnosis of some sort.
Yeah.
I'm this or that. There has to be a label stuck on you these days to, I don't know, make you feel validated or whatever. I don't know exactly what that is, but it seems like there's this really huge push right now for so many people to get that label stuck on them so that they can, I'm not even sure what it is. So it's very, very heavy to me for our young people to be experiencing these thoughts, feelings, experiences. And I know adults do as well, but you mentioned that it started with you when you were young. So that's what, and I know I had a lot of stuff too when I was young. And as, like I said, so many of us do. What would you say to our young people if you were speaking directly to a young audience right now, and there's like so many of them that are experiencing something similar, or could you speak to them right now?
Thank you. I'd say focus on getting better. Just obsess over getting better. And don't be impressed by an authority figure, whether it's your psychiatrist or whoever who gives you a label, because a lot of the time a label is a distraction and it's not a therapeutic direction. And it's very easy to be impressed by a label. So I was diagnosed with schizophrenia as a teenager. And in my on my YouTube channel, you know, I say, believe it or not, I was I did not go to the doctor to learn Greek words. I went to the doctor because I was suffering and I wanted to get better.
Right.
So don't let, and today I can guarantee you I'm 100% symptom free. Not only that, but I'm much happier than most people. So don't be impressed by diagnosis and only ask, how can I get better? How can I get better? How can I get better? And stay open to different ways of getting better. Because what the uh, economic system is rewarding, unfortunately, is dependency. You keep coming back. Like, who is making money? I mean, let me put it in a maybe a more positive way. Um, Today, mental health professionals make money when you keep coming back.
Right.
Tomorrow, if you want to revolutionize mental health care and ensure bright mental health care for future generations. Tomorrow, mental health professionals will get money when you get better. Those are two very different incentives,
Hmm.
right? Um, so I'm not anti-doctor, I'm not anti anything, but I am pro-empowerment and I am pro-health. And so I just want you to obsess about this question: how can I get better? How can I get better?
Hmm.
What our brain um, does all the time is create a story about who we are.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's very easy when we receive a label to buy into it and let it define us and confine us. But that's not going to help you. What will help you is to open up to all of the conditions that can help you get better. Whether it's an environment, like a positive, nurturing, loving environment, whether it's finding more purpose in your life, pursuing meaningful goals and projects, whether it's self-care practices like meditation, nature exposure, sleep, and so on. Stay open to all of the things that improve your mental health and bring them together every day. Start small, but establish daily habits, and then let that positivity snowball in your life. Because your body and mind, they are designed to heal. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, that's
support them,
right.
you will get better.
And now to include a very valid point for some children, young people. There, when you mention changing your environment, that may not be an option for them. They may be in a very, I'm just going to use the word toxic home environment and not able to get out of it because of their age and opportunities. So, what would you say to those if you could speak directly to those teenagers right now that are going through that kind of situation and experiencing, like, what the hell do I do basically when I can't change this, but I want to feel better, get better, be better? Can you speak directly to that group specifically right now?
Start with what you can do. Nobody is preventing you, at least I hope not, to, just sit quietly, follow your breath in your room for 5 minutes. When you go to school, nobody's preventing you from playing a little bit less with this toxic friend and a bit more with this healthy friend. Nobody's preventing you from, waking up, doing a few squats, a few push-ups, so you wake up your body up, you feel better about yourself, create those feel-good hormones. You also can always respond to things better. Maybe there's some drama at home, and by the way, every family has some drama. I'm not saying this to minimize like real, abuse and neglect in some families. And if you need help, please do ask for help. But every family has their what's the polite word for shit? Have their struggles. and 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 you can but you can also decide to react better or to react less, you know.
Yeah. So there's always something we can do. That's the message. So it doesn't have to look like anything huge. It can look like these seemingly small, because even though they sound like they're small, they are not small steps to bring ourselves more into alignment and learn to love ourselves more so that we can put that out there into the world. And that's, to me, that is what changes everything. When we learn to love ourselves and give ourselves that care that we deserve and we are so worthy of, promise, when we can learn to give that to ourselves, that's what shifts absolutely everything.
Yeah, and you can start with your thoughts also. Like you can close your eyes and smile gently, and you can tell yourself mentally, I love myself, I'm worthy of love, I want to take good care of myself. I can do very small things a little bit every day to support my mental health. This self-talk like this is also important,
Yeah,
especially for teenagers. I was going through so much self-hate as a teen, but I practiced this for several years. Um, you know, I'm here for myself. Okay, this I know this is tough, but we're gonna pull through. You know, and they do make a difference. And now I I do, I just don't have these compulsive self-judgments. My thoughts for the most part are very positive, and it's not something I force. It's just natural because of the training. So
right.
transformation is possible, and healing is possible.
Yeah. It is. And do you feel like that for those that are out there asking, but not for me? You know what I mean? They'll think that like that's available to everyone but me. So, but do you feel like this is available to everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are already changing whether we want it or not. Just because of the simple fact that we are alive, we're already changing in every
Yeah.
moment. And we change through many conditions, both external and internal. And what this implies is that we can always contribute to our well-being. We can always tweak some conditions, like the way we talk, we think, the way we speak, the way we act, the kind of environments we expose ourselves to. We can always contribute to well-being. So it's very important to recognize our part of responsibility. And at the same time, the second thing that this, what I call the multifactorial change
Mhm.
implies. Our body and mind change according to countless conditions, both external and internal. The other thing um, that's implied, and it's also important to recognize, is that we can never control. We can always contribute, but we can never control. We can
Mhm.
never fully, you know, predict what's going to happen. We can never fully decide the exact outcome, and now we're going to do this, and it's going to stay like this forever. It doesn't work. So, so we do what we can, and then we open our minds to let go in the present moment, and that's the healthiest way to live this acceptance. A lot of people confuse acceptance and resignation, but those are two very different things. Resignation says things should not be like this, and there's nothing I can do about them. What a horrible way to live, and and
Right.
and it's just not true. What acceptance says, things are the way they are. Now, what can I do about them?
I love that so much, Promise. That's a great distinction. And I've never heard anyone bring it forward in that way before, but that is absolutely beautiful. It really is.
And acceptance is the most functional way to live. So just see, okay, right now things are like that. Now, what can I do?
Yeah.
What can I contribute? Okay, things are like that. I cannot fully control, but I can always contribute. So let me contribute something small, something positive today. And tomorrow I will do the same. And the day after tomorrow I will do the same. And if you just keep going, your life will change for the better.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge believer in daily wellness habits. Yeah, so that's why I teach in my program. So is it okay if I go into the actual practices in the
Absolutely. I would love that.
empowerment program? Um, so there's a short morning routine with a bit of sitting meditation and some Hindu squats and Hindu push-ups, which are great uh, workout for whole body strength, flexibility, cardiovascular fitness. So that's it. Just you can wrap the whole morning routine in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, up to you, um, and you will really tune your body and mind for the day. Yeah. And then during the day, there are general guidelines that I invite people to experiment with, to play with. One is a more whole food, plant-based diet before 7 p.m. or at least not too late in the evening. Another one is no intoxicants, so avoiding cigarettes, alcohol, recreational drugs. Instead, finding better ways of meeting our emotional needs. Then you have the meaningful human connections, surrounding yourself with people who make you feel safe, seen, and supported.
Mm.
Then you have the nature exposure. Every day going out in nature, seeing some trees, breathing some fresh air, getting some sunshine. You also have the mindfulness, which is the art of um, living with a more open and accepting awareness, living more in the present moment. And that's very helpful to regulate your nervous system, not only appreciate better the things you already have, your conditions of happiness, what is going well, but also face challenges with more resilience and clarity and strength. Then you have the mental nourishment, which is how you consume the media, how much, what content, and how can you consume more intelligently in a way that supports your mental health better. And at night, there's a short morning routine with a bit of arm swinging exercise, which is a wonderful, um, wonderfully restorative exercise for your body and mind. It will really help you relax, promote energy flow, regulate your nervous system, and also wind down before bed. And then last thing is the bed by 10 p.m. or just at least trying not to go to bed too late at night. So those are just suggestions, guidelines. Nothing happens if you miss a practice. This is the idea is just um, to help you get positive movement from wherever you are. And that's why in the web app that we're developing, or in the web sheet that people can print, uh, participants are invited to set their own goals for each practice, goals that are relevant for them. So they don't want to do all 10 practices, fine. They just want to start with 2 or 3, great. Just start wherever feels right for you. And they are also accompanied to set the kind of goals that set them up for success. So you may have heard of SMART goals.
Yes.
Yeah, this acronym that stands for specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and time-bound. So it's just a filter when, as you set a goal, for instance, you say, I want to improve my diet. Instead of saying, I'm going to eat healthy, make it more specific, make it more measurable, make it more an action, make it realistic for you, and also know when you're going to do it. So a smarter goal would be, okay, every morning for breakfast, now I'm going to have, porridge with lots of fruits and cacao and cinnamon and green tea, So now it's something very concrete, very tangible, and if it's realistic for you, it will set you up for success.
Mm.
And then another thing that participants are um, encouraged to do is to check every day what they've done. So they can celebrate their success, they can keep the positive momentum going, they can reflect. If they see that maybe for 1 week or two they have not checked this particular practice, then I know, oh yeah, I've been kind of going astray for a while, and I have noticed how it's impacted my well-being. So let me go back on track. Um, so it's a very non-judgmental, positive way to get those wellness practices into our life. And another thing they are invited to do, so if they take the one-on-one coaching with me, they will work with me. If they do it as a group, they pair up and do with each other. Or if they do totally on their own, which they can, everything is for free, they can pair up with a friend, what I call a web buddy, and check in. So if you and I were to do with each other, I would you I would ask like, hey D, so how was your web practice this week? What did you manage to do? How did you manage to do it? So that you can also become aware of what helps you um, implement those practices, because it is something, to say, okay, to sit down and sit. It is something to exercise. It is something to make healthier food choices. So how did you manage? So the more you become aware of um, what you did when you were successful, the more likely you are to reproduce. Okay,
Right.
and then how did it impact your well-being? So this is positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
And me, I'm just here to listen and celebrate with you. And I never give unsolicited advice. If at some point, let's say, you notice one practice is hard for you, and you think I may be able to help, I will wait for you to ask.
Mm,
Hey, promise, what do you do when you're invited to friends and you know the food's not going to be that healthy and you're trying to eat healthy? How do you manage those conversations, those dinners? I may have or not, or I may not have something helpful to contribute, but you're the one who's empowered. So that's why it's called the Daily Wellness Empowerment Program. Is you're not only empowered with practices that are 100% do it yourself, you are also empowered as you go through those check-ins with other people.
mhm.
So we keep the beautiful, um, therapeutic presence in traditional psychotherapy. Um, and at the same time, you're the boss 100%. So we have the best of both worlds, the empowerment and the empathy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. And I love that you said something about celebrating your accomplishments because I feel like that is really super important. And most of us do not do that.
Yeah, and we need to learn. We all have this negativity bias. Like it's so funny, when sometimes the participants do their check-in, and maybe they've managed to sit in meditation for 5 or 6 days a week, but they want to jump and explain what happened during that seventh time, and oh no, it's that's chill. Positive reinforcement, positive reinforcement, positive reinforcement. We have enough suffering.
Yeah,
Let us not make quest for wellness our new suffering. It
right.
shouldn't be stressful. It should be fun, and it should be a learning experience. It should be an exploration.
Yeah. And that's how we find out the things that are most beneficial for us because we may be drawn more towards one thing. It may feel better to us than something else. And
Yeah,
that curiosity and exploration is what gets us to that place where we find that thing.
exactly. But we have to get going.
We have to
Yeah.
get going.
And for me, it was very important to, as a wellness coach right now, to give the big picture right away. So if I hand you a letter size web sheet, in that one sheet of paper, you have all 10 web practices. So you have a comprehensive program. If
Right.
you download the web app, it's all on one screen. So you see right away what I believe now, 20 years later, after asking my psychiatrist, how can I take better care of myself and going through all of these experiences, learning all of those things. I've experimented with over 100 therapeutic modalities. So I've learned a lot of things and experimented with a lot of things. And those are really where I believe that those are really the wellness practices that I believe have the highest return on investment.
Mm,
Another way of looking at the DWEP is, not just as a set of practice that you do every day, but it's as a theoretical model that predicts the consequences of your daily actions on your well-being. So what this model predicts is that if you do the anti-DWEP, the opposite of the DWEP, meaning you have no practice to train your attention, you don't exercise, you eat lots of processed food or animal food, you drink lots of alcohol, consume drugs, you have no meaningful human connections, people that you interact with, they're toxic or you don't have friends, you live in a very polluted environment, you overconsume the media, you get lost on the internet, or you live very much into the past or into the future or into constant complaining about the way things are right now.
mhm.
Um, you have no movement to help you relax, to help the energy flow, and you sleep at very irregular hours, or you don't get enough hours. All of these things separately will dramatically increase your chances of suffering,
Yeah.
right? So if you do the opposite, what this model predicts is that you will improve your chances of getting better and becoming the healthy, happy person you deserve to become.
Yeah.
So when you see the web as a theoretical model like this, you keep your freedom. You're still a free person. You can make all the choices you want, and at the same time, now you are more informed
Mhm.
as to what are the predictable consequences of your actions on your well-being. So let's say, for instance, there's this food item that you love. You just love the taste of it. It's very emotional for you. Like this is your childhood, and plus your auntie, whatever, whoever makes the best version of it, and going to this party, and you like this story is very important for you. Okay, but as you engage, now you know. Okay, I'm doing this. I know I know long term it's not sustainable for my health, but I can go stray a bit and then get back on track. So you're both freer and more informed, which is, I believe, what we all want.
Yes, absolutely. It is. It's beautiful because we do want to feel like we have a sense of choice, that
Yeah.
it's not one way or the other,
Yeah.
because some people that's why they don't do it because they're like, oh, if I do that lifestyle, then I'll never be able to have cheesecake again, you know? And they're like, that's not acceptable to me. So then they just don't even do it.
Yeah.
Like I had a friend that I had a conversation with one time. I said, it's not about having the thing. We can have the thing, we can have a piece of cheesecake, but we don't have to have the whole cheesecake. And how about we cut our slice of cheesecake down from this big, huge piece to like maybe a third of that? We still get to enjoy it, but we don't have to have as much of it. And in my experience, I eat very slowly and I always have, but when I'm eating something like that, I even eat more slowly so that I can enjoy it longer. And I take these tiny little bites and make them last so long. It's ridiculous to probably most people, but that's how you can expand that experience and not have so much, of something that's not necessarily good for you.
Beautiful. Yes, there is. It's not still at all, and there is actual data on this. How mindful eating reduces portion sizes because you savor more, and thus you feel more fulfilled. As because a lot of so-called comfort food, a lot of people just gulp them while watching TV, so they're not even enjoying that much. So if you can enjoy more, savor more, uh, take more time to chew, to enjoy the taste, and then you find out you're you're both more rewarded emotionally, and you can have smaller portions, which is more supportive of your health.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the
So,
portions we think are normal and today are just, they're so big.
especially
Like
in
it's
the
enough for
US.
four people. It's crazy.
Yeah, I lived in the US for 5 years. Yeah, I've seen the supermarkets, the food culture. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Promise, I have enjoyed this conversation so much. I feel like the opportunities, that's what I'm gonna call them, the opportunities that you've brought forward for people to shift and change and be able to understand that they do have choice no matter what their situation looks like, that it can be these seemingly small shifts that change everything. It's just, to me, it's such an important conversation that we've had today. And I really appreciate what you do and the fact that you came here as my guest to share these beautiful ideas and concepts with everyone. If someone would love to work with you one on one, or maybe even do your kind of DIY thing, where will they reach you and how can they find you?
Well, thank you, Dee, for giving me this platform, this chance to speak with you and your audience on topics that are very dear to my heart. So the best place is mentalhealthrevolution.org. Just one word, no dash, no nothing. Mentalhealthrevolution.org, and they can subscribe to my newsletter. And all of the information is there. Everything is for free, so they can learn everything for free. Um, but to make a living, I am offering those one-on-one coachings, and they can just contact me through my website. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And you do
Mhm.
have a YouTube channel as well that I just
Yeah.
recently found out about. So I'll drop that link in the description box as well so they can find you there and enjoy some of your videos as well that you put out there. So,
Awesome.
yay. Well, thank you, Promise. Again, I appreciate you so much. We will keep in contact. I know that.
In touch. Thank you, Dee.
You're very welcome. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this very important episode. Please, I invite you to like, share, and subscribe to share this information with everyone because it is so needed right now in our world. And just as a reminder, Michelle Powell and I do have an online event coming up on May 21st, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to put the link for that in the description box below. Promises information if you're interested in that. So thank you all, and I will see you on the next one. Until then, I love you all.